Have you ever loved something so much that you just want to make it happen every day? Me neither. This is a podcast a day.
A podcast a day, 351. And today's movie that I hate, that I'm recommending to you because my taste is so bad, is Soul. A Pixar original. Now, when I say hate, this is kind of a different vibe. Like, when it comes to sort of recommending movies that I don't like, I kind of want to go for, like, I don't want to sit here and go for movies that I don't like that are actually just straight up awful. Like Furry Vengeance, which is just a bad film. Like, I want to recommend films I don't like, but I think other people might like or do like, to try and create so there's dialogue, create a conversation a little bit, and try to understand why people do. I will get nothing out of telling you a film I don't like, which I know just straight up is hated by everyone, just so everyone agrees with me, type thing. So I think Soul is a good one. I would love to know someone who loves Soul, and specifically Soul's ending, because that's where my problems lie with this film. I haven't seen it since, I think, Christmas Day. I think they put it on, I was about to say Patreon. They just chucked it. Disney just chucked it up on their Patreon. No, Disney put it up on Disney Plus, so you could watch it on Christmas. And I think I watched it Christmas Day. That would have been whenever this film came out. So let's see when this film came out, and that will be the answer to our problems. Along with recommending you a film I hate on this pod, I'm also going to try and write a letterboxd review for it, so I can, by the end of this, I can summarize my actual thoughts for it, and I'm going to put it down in my letterboxd review, which should be linked somewhere. Try and find it. It's a little Easter egg. The Easter egg? Well, I'm talking about Pixar films, so clearly Easter eggs are on the mind. What's it called? Soul. 4 letters, nice and easy. Ain't the best at typing with one hand, but when you got films like Soul, it really just makes your life better. Came out in 2020, so that would have been the last time I've seen it. Whether I like or don't like a film, I rarely rewatch them. Like, once I've seen it, I'm like, I don't need to see it again. I've seen it now, type thing. Like, I'm really not into rewatching films unless I'm seeing it with someone who hasn't seen it before, usually. Other than that, not a big rewatcher, I have to say. So Soul came out in 2020, directed by Pete Docter. Pete Docter, he's trying to trick me. I won't be fooled. I know he don't work in medicine. He works in movies. Get me on the stand-up mics. And the movies he has done for Disney, Pixar, whatever you want to call it. He's done Monsters, Inc., he's done Inside Out, and he's done Up. You could argue this man, everything he touches turns to gold. But this one, the gold, it's I don't know the properties of gold. I was gonna try and say, like, it's what happens with gold. It starts to, like, after time, it gets like I don't know, like, what happens to gold? Something happens to gold. I feel like there's a bit of glare coming in on the left side, right side, whatever. Right now, it's really pissing me off. But yeah, no. Look, Inside Out, Monsters Inc., Up. They're all great films. If I had to rank these 3 in order, I think a lot of people would put Inside Out first. If you're the type of person who puts Inside Out first, I feel we could never get along. No. It's not that we can never get along, but it's like, some families, it's like, if, like, the daughter's really political, or they have certain views, or the parents are stuck in the past, there's certain things that just can't bring up at the table. Inside Out would be one of those things. We can't bring that up at the table, guys. Come on now. I just think, and look, I'm not being like a nostalgia merchant. I just think you can't look past, for me, I think Inside Out is the worst. And it's not even because, like, for me, with Pixar films, like, it's less about the actual story. Like, I'm not saying Inside Out's a bad film. Like, they're all good, right? But for me, I think Monsters, Inc. is the best film out of the 3. And I would say that because its concept is just so, like, it's like the world building is so good. They take a concept, they build the world of it so good. It's like they're monsters and they live in this world, and like they take the simple idea of, like, being scared of the monster under your bed or the monster in the closet, and it's like, come on, mate, it's 2023, just come out. That's also my comedy bit. It's very good. No, but they're in the closet, right? And it's like they take that small, like, little thing. That's not even a thing people talk about. It's just a passing comment people say. Oh, I'm scared there's a monster in the closet or whatever, in the wardrobe. Along with the line in The Witch. I'm like, okay, let me stop that. But, like, they take that small little thing and they just expand into, okay, well, if there is this, the kids are around, there is this monster in there, and we don't see it because, like, it's they're actually like when they open the door, they're like time traveling or like transporting from their world into yours to scare you. And why are they scaring you? They're just assholes. No, they're doing it because they literally need your screams to fuel their world. It's electricity. Electricity, you know, and then they realize laughter's better, and it's this whole thing in the doors, and it's the whole factory, and like do 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 do. It's just like you can't beat that. And again, as much as I'm gushing over this film, probably haven't seen it in like a decade. Like I don't really watch it much, but like it's just so good. The emotional moments hit. They don't feel forced. I feel like with a lot of these Pixar films, it's like we're gonna have our moment because we're known as the kids company that makes adults cry. That makes adults weep, and it feels like they really push for that a lot of the times. Whereas back then, it was like I haven't quite cried. I didn't cry at this film, but like, um, you know, when he puts the door back together and like his disgusting little chopped up Mike Wazowski fingers pushes that last piece in. I think he does it. I haven't seen it in ages. Into the door after it was in the wood chipper, and then they open it, and then it's just on his face, and like they were just better at it before. They just did it better. And I feel like that's just really good world building. It's just taking a small little idea and just expanding in a way. I think it's them at their best. Up, I think I'd put second, not because of the fucking intro that apparently made people cry or whatever. Again, I think the reason I can never cry at any of these Pixar films is because when a lot of them came out, I was a kid. So this old man's wife having a miscarriage or whatever, that's not gonna make me cry. I'm 9 or whatever, you know what I mean? And it's like them rewatching it, it's like I know what's gonna happen. And also, I don't think I could cry at like an animated thing. I'm too hard. I think I would only cry at real people. Um, but no, but yes, I think Up. The reason I think I'd put this one up there is because it's just such like a magical idea. Like I felt like this was they're still in their magical era. Like things just like wow, Pixar just makes magic. Like it's this house floating with with like these balloons. It just becomes this like iconic imagery type thing. Like like Disney and Pixar, it's like Mickey Mouse and it's the big castle and it's like house flying with balloons to go to like some like Niagara Falls type place to go drop the house off because his wife's just dead and they wanted to go there and it's like got this good undertone. Kind of in the second half, it kind of falls into more like has a sort of MCU kind of style third act. I mean, but I really like Doug, the dog, and my childish insides really still connect with that. And then Inside Out to me is like it's executed very well, but it's not a concept that has that same kind of magic or like that same kind of. It's not as good of a concept. It just isn't. Like flying your house with balloons, like like to some, which obviously doesn't make sense as a film. To like some place to land it, with this little Chinese. Well, I actually don't know if he's Chinese. I was actually I probably misspoke there. He may be Korean. I don't know. He's animated. I don't know. Asian. Is he even Asian? I don't know. Why did I bring this up? But like with this little boy and the dog with collar and shit, and it's just this insane idea, and they make it work. Like I like Ratatouille. He's a rat, puppeting a man through his locks, and he's a fantastical chef in Paris. You know, that these ideas that like is insane, but they do it so well, and they fully commit. They just make sense. It works perfectly, and the emotional moments still hit. Like the idea of like, oh, imagine like the emotions in your head. Um, you know, imagine they were like little people up there, and they're like controlling like everyone has thought that before. Like I don't know, like it's still like a good idea and stuff, but like it doesn't feel like oh wow okay that's really out there type thing. It's kind of like we've all thought about it. Like your head is like an office space, and it's like where's my memories? Imagine there's little men running up there like freaking out, trying to look through the folders, trying to find the memories. Like it doesn't feel as fantastical of an idea. It's just very well executed, and it's like a good film, but like I don't think it has it in the same way as this film. Like have I got the pic? If I go through some of the Pixar films, try and find another example of a film that's kind of like that in a similar way, like trying to see if any other films can have a similar kind of like it's a good idea. I think Inside Out only fits into that category for me where it's like it's this like idea, but I feel like it's an idea a lot of people have had before type thing. I don't really know how to like word it the best way. Um, but yeah, no, we're not even talking about Inside Out. We're talking about Soul, and I'm 10 minutes and I've not uttered a word about it. That's kind of the way it goes on these pods. I just did a Rogue One Star Wars story in case you were confused. Rogue One, a Star Wars story, and I spent half of it talking about fucking Deadpool or some shit. I don't remember. But yeah, no, I think the reason I wanted to pick Soul. And by the way, if you don't know what Soul is, and we're this far into it, and I'm not even given like the synopsis or whatever, I kind of got distracted by Pete Docter's insane record. Um, it is about a guy called Joe Gardner. He's a middle school teacher with a love for jazz music. After a successful audition at the Half Note Club, he suddenly gets into an accident that separates his soul from his body and is transported to the U Seminar, a center in which souls develop and gain passions before being transported to a newborn child. Joe must enlist help from the other souls in training, like 20. I was about to say what she's 22. No, her name, like 22, a soul who has spent eons in the youth seminar in order to get back to Earth, right? Now, I actually like this film. Spoiler alert, I lied. No, I actually looking back and I have it as a 3.5 out of 10. No, sorry, 3 stars out of 5. I'm actually gonna drop it now on review, even though I haven't seen it since. But just off of thinking back to it, I'm gonna drop it down to a 2.5. I'm gonna be that harsh to it. And the reason I don't like this film is because it's actually a very good film. It's taken some good things. I feel like jazz is such a good thing to use in your film. Like, it's just such a great soundtrack to stuff. I just think movies that like have jazz as like a passion of one of the characters or like as a theme running through are usually bangers. It's got Joe, who's like this teacher. The animation I really like. I feel like a lot of these Pixar films, if we can go back to some of these Pixar films, Elemental, dog shit. Lightyear, it's the Toy Story style, so whatever. Turning Red, this is the kind of style I don't like. Don't like the art style in Turning Red. Luca, similar to Turning Red, but less blocky, less like shrunk down and like stout or whatever. Soul, I like. I don't like the animation style where like it just shrinks everyone down to being like these 4 foot tall cuboid people, and it's just too like. I like a little bit more detail in there, like a little bit more in the animation. Like I think Coco's got a good style to it. I think Incredibles is a good style. Um, I just don't. Turning Red don't really do it for me, and I would say, I think it's and Luca's bordering, but Luca's set in like a very nice, like Turning Red's not in like as a beautiful environment as Luca, I'd say, but yeah. Soul, I really like the style. Like when they're in New York as well, right? Which again, just a great backdrop. They do New York really, really well. It looks amazing. It looks so good that you kind of wish you didn't have to spend so much time in the Souliverse or whatever it is. But again, it's like they're taking cool creative choices, like with the way those characters look, they're like these 2D designs and the way they move through. That's cool at least. So I like that. Again, it does like weirdo stuff that maybe loses some people at points, but then, and same here, like when he gets transported into the cat's body, you're kind of like, oh, it's doing the weird like third act Marvel weirdo stuff. I keep saying Marvel because Marvel has bad third acts usually, but then like the other films I spoke about earlier, they commit to it. They don't just like accept that, oh, we're just doing a weird gag. They commit to it so much that it starts to become good, and you start to have like emotional moments happen while this stupid thing is happening, and you forget that it's stupid. Like when he's in like the barber shop and he's overhearing something or something like that. I don't really remember. Like I said, it was like what 4 years ago now. So like, there's a lot of good things about it, which is why. And the ending can really fuck something up because like, why am I gonna watch it again? It's like, Don't Worry, Darling actually isn't a bad film, but the ending, the last 15 minutes is so shy that it wastes your time. You get to the end of Soul, and look, what I will say, and I think this is what's going to be my review, actually, so let me write it right now. Review or log, I finally thought of one. and again I got to type it with one hand, which absolutely sucks. This film, actually, I want to say after I've typed it, but I just think that the ending, it dropped the ball. That's a clue. And when I say that, I mean, if you remember how Soul ends, Joe is sort of, he's sort of in this sort of Neverland, whatever it is, and he's with the other soul, 22. And it's like he can go back to his body and he can play at the jazz club. But the whole film, he's been learning about like life and stuff, and he's been having these poignant sort of lessons, or whatever. And it's like he wants to go back so much, and he goes back and he realizes, or whatever. I can't remember what order this all happens, but like this thing he wanted his whole life, like it happens, and then you just kind of feel, oh, I thought this would like prove it, like change everything, and I'd finally be happy, and that's not how it works, right? And so he's having all these lessons, but I just feel like at the end they drop it because you think, oh, he's gonna have this thing, he's finally accepted it, he's learned this lesson, he's got this like he's lived a life and he got to have these experiences, and oh, he was happy, and now he's accepting of his life and he's gonna move on and let somebody else kind of take that. But they don't do that. Like he's about to step in, and then the movie kind of bottles it, and he does it. Basically, he's gonna die effectively. And instead of just being happy and accepting that, like in Coco, they have this view of death where it's like it's not even because it's part of the sort of the culture, I guess, of Mexico and stuff. Where like, you know, Black Panther, we don't. Death is not the end. It's more of a stepping off point. You know, like they. But in this film, it's like no, death is dog shit, and we're not gonna make you do that right now, Joe. You're gonna live another like 20 years, or not even that. Maybe I don't know how old you were meant to be, Joe, and you're gonna die of like a fucking heart attack instead. We're not gonna, you know what I mean? It's like, what's more is he really going back for? Just because they was fucking pulling their punches. I don't know why they had to do that, really. And then the film goes on for another 5 minutes, and he steps out into his new life with a newfound appreciation, I guess, for like the little things in life. And that's why my review is going to be: this film had a lot of soul, but no balls. And that ending alone, that last 5 minutes alone, just kind of makes me like think very little about the film. I think if they just changed that last little thing, and I definitely know in drafts they had it, where he would have just died. I would be interested to know what the reason would be. If you loved this film, more specifically, if you loved this film's ending, I'd love to know it. Because if they had that ending, like right now I got it on 2.5 stars. If it had that ending, I'd probably bump it up to 4.5. And that's how big. Like one little change, 5 minutes, just change the whole thing for me. And yeah, that's gonna be my review of it. My review of it. So yeah, that's how it is. We'll be doing new films on here as well. I'm not seeing anything new, but usually it's tricky though, because I have got this urge to talk about films I like as well. And I usually, when it comes to new films, I'm very good at making sure I see things that I know I'm gonna like. So it's gonna be hard to talk about new films like Dune Part 2. It's probably the next film I'm gonna see, like in a cinema that's new. And it's like I'm gonna have to probably make some kind of exceptions at some points to break from the formula and the format of what I'm trying to do right now. Because I want to speak about Dune Part 2, and I know it's gonna be sick, and it's not really fitting my formula of recommending shit films. But sorry, Sol, you're not shit, but like you kind of are because you're ending. But you know, me. It's like I have to. So yeah, that's Soul. It's got 2.5. I mean, it's much better than the one than a half a star I gave Rogue One. That's the review. That's my recommendation for you. Go watch Soul. Tell me what you guys think. I'd love to hear if it's different. And yeah, this is podcast today, 351. I'll see you in the next one.